Interesting.
What a smart
Jill,
move.
when she's been up for 5 minutes.
That's not true. I've been up for a long time today, and I did really hard work.
You got a nap in the middle of the day.
It wasn't long enough.
It was over an hour. Most people don't take over an hour naps.
Well, little baby Jillies do, so there.
You're right, I'm sorry.
I'm a little baby Jilly, I tell you what.
Jill, did you not have an idea of, like, the worst time period to go to?
Yeah, I just told you the World Wars.
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't know.
I also think, now I know this is part of a world war, but, like, the Nazi Germany thing, I wouldn't want to go there.
Well, yeah, that's just World War II. Like,
Yeah.
So you're just talking specifically during World War II?
Yeah, I would really not want to go to either world war, honestly. Let me think. I wouldn't want to go to, like, medieval times, like, any time before they had indoor plumbing.
Yeah, or electricity. That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying, is most areas in the past would not be fun to visit. No one can keep history in darkness. I have finally found out. I secretly accessed the network and found out the secret of Mars Sphere. We are doppelgangers. Organic Oh, yeah, this person tried to write organic humans.
Oh.
So this person had found out the whole thing.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah. Which we just found out that whole plot twist.
Uh-huh. Yeah, and Mother Sphere's been trying to cover it up.
Do you think Mother Sphere censored that data log?
Yes.
How would she have access to that?
I don't know, I think she has access to everything that's, like, connected to the internet.
But there is no network. Well, actually, there is a network, but I thought it was severely limited.
I guess I don't know.
Because it was basically, hampered entirely when Mother Sphere kind of disconnected from the Earth.
Well, maybe she implemented, like, a system where if you type out a certain word, it blocks it.
And kills you?
Yeah.
That would actually be interesting.
It would be interesting. It's like YouTube.
It's
but
like
extreme.
YouTube.
Yeah, but extreme.
Something people don't talk about anymore that was so bad that I kind of wanted to mention, you'll remember it too, was during COVID, when it was like if you mentioned that sickness, you got like demonetized.
Yeah, I don't get that.
It was such a weird censorship thing.
Why'd they do that?
I don't know, because all they did was fuel like 5,000 different conspiracy theories by doing that.
Oh yeah, they totally did.
Like, what if they had just made the information free-flowing? I feel like a lot of things wouldn't have caught on that did. Even things like Rumble, I think, like, got big because... Like, got a lot bigger because there was, like, this very big narrative around YouTube and around Google and around Facebook, especially, which Facebook just got... Mark Zuckerberg actually testified and straight up said that, oh, whoa, there's like a church down there type
cool.
thing. Mark Zuckerberg just testified and straight up said that they were pressured by the Biden administration to cover up like Hunter Biden's laptop and stuff like this.
Yeah, isn't that illegal?
It certainly should be, but no, I don't think it is.
Oh.
Unethical. That would be, definitely a way to word it, but no, and to me, like, I'm just thinking out loud here. To me, that should be enough to end an election. Like, that should be enough to look at, the Biden administration and say, oh, this is an administration directly tampering in the truth and, like, covering it up.
Is that the same administration that Kamala Harris is going to have?
I mean, she was the vice president. There's no way she was not aware of that.
Yeah.
Unless so she's either complicit or she's the biggest moron of all time who's unaware of what's going on in the country that she's basically second in command of.
So do you
Which
think
of those is worse? She's either complicit or she's unaware of what's happening, which either way, wouldn't you say that you wouldn't want that for your president?
No.
I don't know.
So do you think that her administration is going to be basically made up of the same people?
Yeah, it's basically just the Biden administration, but with a woman instead of an old man.
Oh.
Yeah, 100%. But, like, you can't talk about this because if you do, it means you endorse Trump. And if you endorse Trump, it means that you're, like, a supremacist or something.
Oh, that's a word you can't say or we'll get demonetized. His name.
I have no idea. But I do find the whole thing amusing that, like, it's so tribalist,
I wanted to mention something that I thought was interesting. I had to do alcohol compliance training.
Wait a minute. Does this have to do with this? With what we were just talking about?
No, but it's related.
Oh, you're just gonna leave me hanging there where it sounds like I just said go vote for Trump?
No,
now I'm in trouble.
No, I agreed with you. I don't know what else I should say. I agreed with you that, like, I don't know, I kind of think that the whole thing is stupid.
The whole thing is stupid. And you're not even allowed... Like, I cannot believe that we're at a point where if you say... Like, if I were to right now say, yeah, actually I support Trump, there would be people who just said, oh, you're a white supremacist, you hate gay people, and all this stuff. Like, we're so past the narrative of, like, what these things should be about. Like, what Americans should be looking at with this election is like, okay, well, what is going to be the best net positive for the country? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Well, also, I wanted to say, you know, if it was Donald Trump's son who had that laptop incident, people would not let that go. Like, that would be everywhere. People would be really mad about it. They would be, like, trying to say, oh, he should go to jail and stuff like this. But because it was Biden's son, we're just going to sweep it under the rug. Nothing happened. Nothing's wrong. That kid gets to not go to jail.
Well, and it also brings up a lot of, like, really concerning questions about censorship and who controls the narrative. Like, okay, yeah, you know, if you've got, obviously if you've got these social media outlets and they have a lot of control over what people see, that's dangerous already. But now you have the government getting involved in that?
That's wrong.
And saying, hey, maybe you shouldn't show people that. Yeah, no? Like, we don't have doesn't anybody have a problem with that? Like,
I don't understand how that's not illegal in a country that's, like, for free speech.
I don't know. I mean, I think if you made that illegal, you'd have to make things like giving them backdoor access to these, you know, websites and stuff illegal, too.
What do you mean?
Well, like how they can... The CIA and the FBI and all these different groups, they have requested, like, access into files and different things like that. Facebook has a whole thing for Meta where you can go look at it and it shows how many times the federal government requested this information, like personal information on citizens from the website, and they had to comply and give it to them. Mm-hmm. Like, they just have to hand this stuff over.
Well, I think that's fine. I just think they shouldn't be saying like what you can and can't post.
I don't even think that's fine. I think it should be very rare that the federal or that any government is able to come in and say, you need to give us this information on this individual, and the company has to say, okay. That should be pretty rare. But
I suppose so, but the only reason I'm fine with it is because sometimes that's how they get serial killers.
Oh, absolutely.
Or, pedophiles.
But it shouldn't be common.
No.
And we're talking about thousands of times a year, Jill. Mm-hmm. We're not talking about 30 or 100. We're talking about if you go look at the amount of data requests they've had, it is way more than should be necessary.
Yeah, there probably should be a limit on it, you know? Like, you should have to only do it when it's, like, actually necessary, and there should be, like, a whole form they have to fill out and dumb stuff like that, you know?
Well, and to me, when you have this, like, you know, so many times, it seems like it's overdoing it, I guess. And, oh, well, there's a massive... Okay, all right. Well, I'm getting stun locked.
I also think the reason for why they did it should have to be revealed. Like, they should have to say, like, the reason why we looked this up was because we were doing an investigation on this thing.
Right. But I think that you basically have a government that ever since 9/11 happened has seized a lot of control.
Yeah.
You know, the United States. And I actually think that those terrorists who did that, they thought that it was going to do the opposite. That it was going to, like, put the U.S. in its place and all this stuff. Mm-hmm. It did the opposite. It made the U.S. way more bold and attacked the Middle East way more.
Yeah, and it made Americans hate Middle Easterners for a long time.
I would argue still, there's a huge portion of the United States that hates the Middle East and hates the people there and has no empathy for any of them.
Yeah, it created a lot of racism.
You saved me. I owe you one, Angel. I would have been cut to ribbons if you hadn't come along when you did.
You should go back to Zion.
Hey, wait. Angel, I have something to tell you.
What?
You should stumble on a collapsed tunnel a little way south of here.
Go on.
If you go there, that's where you'll find a distressed angel.
A distressed angel? Are you saying there are survivors?
Yeah. I saw it with my own 2 eyes. But it was terrifying. I didn't dare move closer. It was singing a sad but beautiful song. Like it was waiting for someone to come and help. But I knew I just wasn't capable of doing it myself.
Come on, Griffin. Have some balls.
I'll go there.
Why does he call it an it? Like, isn't it a she?
I don't know. I don't think it'll be a normal angel.
You don't? You think it'll be like an Atiba?
I don't know, or it'll be dead.
Oh. That's a shame. I want to go there.
Or she, or they, or whatever.
You're funny. Very inclusive.
Thank you. I try to be. This is worrisome. Like, what's going on here? There's no way that's not a trap, right?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there.
Oh, now he's moving. Now he's moving.
I wanted to say, in my alcohol compliance training, we found out that it wasn't illegal to drug someone against their will until like the 90s. Like that wasn't a law until like the 90s.
For like putting Rohypnol in a drink.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. There was an act that had to make that illegal.
Yeah. Then that like act got enacted in the 90s. Isn't that crazy?
Which is weird because now this was a joke that I made in the car, a very dark joke. But doesn't that mean that like what Bill Cosby was allegedly doing at the time, and kind of in some ways admitted to in court, wouldn't that have not been illegal for a lot of that era?
Oh, I guess it would have been illegal because of the non-consensual touching.
I don't know, because like I'm not sure because I don't know.
But the whole drugging thing wouldn't technically have been illegal until now.
Well, it made it sound like that if you were drugged and you consented, that it still counted as consent back then.
That's true. They did kind of make it sound like that in the law because I
Isn't
had
that
to like
weird?
I had to hear about like the official federal laws for it for alcohol compliance and stuff. I also found out that you can't say no to giving alcohol to a pregnant woman just because she's pregnant, because that's discrimination.
You know, you'd have to look this up for me, and I would love if you could. Could you look up for me, can someone be charged if their baby is born with fetal alcohol syndrome?
Let's look.
Could you look that up for me? Because I'm interested in that, because it used to be that was considered child abuse, or at least like the mother was severely judged and like very much shit on by society if her baby was born with that. But now, you know, when you're telling me like, hey, you know, you have to serve this person in Minnesota at least, even if they, you know, have obviously they're pregnant, to me that's kind of sounding like no, it's not. Which I don't know if this comes back to Roe v. Wade and stuff or what.
No, a mother cannot be held criminally liable for fetal alcohol syndrome in the United States, as a fetus is not considered a human being under the law. In the 1999 case State v. Deborah Z., the Wisconsin Appeals Court ruled that a mother could not be held criminally responsible for fetal injury.
That's kind of crazy to me.
Can you believe that?
Because, but the baby is born.
Yeah.
Because whether you think a fetus is a baby in and of its own right or not, it's a baby when it's born.
Yeah.
And it's obviously born with fetal alcohol syndrome.
Yeah.
Which to me says like, hey, you're a shit mom.
But
like, there's one exception here, which is if you are in such a bad area that you couldn't tell you were pregnant until advanced stages. You know, like maybe you're in a war zone.
Uh-huh.
And you got assaulted.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, well now I can see, you know, an argument for like why we wouldn't charge someone for that, right? Because it's like, well, there's no way they would have known.
Well, I'm surprised on if they were even able to procure alcohol in such a bad state.
The alcohol's everywhere.
I guess so.
You know, I mean, but yeah, no, I get what you're saying. I'm just saying, like, I could maybe see some insane outlier like that.
Mm-hmm.
But this is so weird to me that is not considered child abuse.
I kind of think it's a little upsetting that they basically said that was not a human being. Even though after it's born as a baby, wouldn't it be considered as a human being then, or no?
Well, this is the abortion debate, Jill. This is literally what the entire debate is based around this. It's based around, do you recognize that fetus is a human being or not?
Yeah, but what about when it comes out as a baby?
Well, apparently if you...
If you gave it fetal alcohol syndrome and then it's born as a baby, is that not child abuse now that it's considered a human, or is a baby not considered a human now?
No, a baby is considered a human. That's exactly what I was saying, though, is that it's a very weird situation where it's like by giving up that you know, that distinction, I feel like they kind of slippery slope themselves into not being able to punish that. Also, what is going on here?
I don't know. I'm kind of mad about that. I kind of think that...
It's you. The song.
Adam, scan the airborne squad member.
She looks like all the other airborne squad members who died.
Mm-hmm.
It's a 4th airborne squad member. This is not a song. It only sounds like a song because the repeated voice is being refracted.
Lily, can you decode it?
Sure, I can try. 4th Airborne Squad. Traitor in our midst. Watch out. Trap. Unable to control movements. Pain. Eternal pain. Let me rest. Cut the power. Please. End it. What should we do?
You know what it is she wants.
Wow. So she wants somebody to kill her?
Yeah, I guess she's, like, still alive, kind of. I'm surprised we couldn't revive her.
But in extreme pain. Aww.
I wonder why we couldn't revive her. Was she too damaged?
I think so. Kind of like what happened with Taki.
It's over.
Yes. May your memories live on forever.
May your memories live on forever.
That's sad.
We're not going to mention the fact that they just said there's a traitor?
Well... I don't know, like a traitor that's killing the other angels, you think?
From the 4th Airborne Squadron member. Or 4th Airborne Squad.
You don't think that's Raven, do you?
I don't know.
I don't know. I find it upsetting that they don't consider that child abuse after the baby's born.
No, I know, and I think that this is a very... The rest of my comrades escaped to the west of the Great Desert. They successfully managed to extract the data and funds of the Zion Freedom Liberation Alliance. If they follow along the wall raised in the desert and escape to the far west of the desert, they will be safe, but my story ends here. I can't read what that says. You butchers, Mother Sphere's curse be upon you.
What the heck?
This is interesting, and this was like a bunker
Yeah.
that she was in. And her pod is here? How did her pod get in here?
I don't know.
Or no, that's not a pod. That's something else.
I don't know what that is.
Anyway, there's a lot of very disturbing stuff to me in some of this training for becoming a waitress. Like a waitress of all things. Another example to me, the thing with what you said with the fetus, I understand it, I agree. It's just you're not going to convince people of it. Like, they will believe whatever they want to believe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, people are not open to dialogue or discussion on it. I find that kind of stupid, but...
But even at the end of the day, if you don't think a fetus is a human, sure, but is the baby not a human then? When it comes out afterward? And if that baby has fetal alcohol syndrome, I don't know, I feel like that should be considered child abuse.
Why does this guy want to become one entity? That's when she'll wake up from the debris. That's what Oracle taught us.
I don't understand.
No, I agree with you, and I'm not trying to be rude. You said the same thing like 3 times. I agreed with you all 3 times. Like,
No.
it's nonsense to me.
No, I don't get it.
I don't either. I think that a lot of these things, though, it's like... I feel like there's not a lot of consistency to these rules.
Well, there isn't, because I was told that, you know, I can refuse service, like alcohol service, to anyone for any reason.
Except that.
Except for if she's pregnant, then that's discrimination.
Well, T was telling us, you know, that there's a lot of times where businesses, because he's worked in businesses like throughout the restaurant industry, retail industry, other stuff with different positions, and, you know, he was telling us too that there's a lot of times where there is just genuine discrimination that goes on, but if it's not on paper, no one cares.
Yeah.
You know, like he was saying that if someone wanted to, now we're not talking about him here, just keep that in mind. If somebody wanted to, they could just say, you know, I don't really feel like hiring any black people. I don't really like them. And they could just say, nah, we're going to go with someone else. And as long as they didn't write down, yeah, we actually passed on you because you're black, no one will ever know that was actual discrimination. He was telling us that kind of thing actually happens a lot still, you know, with a lot of different areas and and different jobs, but then you've got things like this where it's like, well, you could have a genuine reasonable concern. Like, this is going to end up, let's say 100% it's not a human being, because I think that's the argument, right? Let's say, okay, sure.
You're trying to go through it. We'll get buried in the sand if you keep being so stubborn.
Let's say that it's just not one, and just agree with the logic behind it for just a moment.
Okay.
Well, it will still be a human eventually, and then that human being, you know, let's call him Josh. Josh is going to grow up with severe birth defects forever because his mom was a bitch who decided to drink.
Yeah, and does that baby not deserve those rights now? Like
once it's born?
Yeah.
I guess it's like, oh, well, it's the same way as, you know, if you're born with Down syndrome, I guess that's how they'd view it, is like, well, you were just born with a birth defect. But it's like, yeah, but literally this is a preventable birth defect. Like, even your training talked about that. So, like, shouldn't you have a legal obligation to prevent a birth defect?
I don't know, because I have a legal obligation to prevent, like, violent,
Loss of life.
yeah, like, prevent loss of life because of alcohol.
Okay, I literally did dodge.
But, like, who's to say if this woman drinks so much, what if her baby dies inside of her? Isn't that loss of life? Doesn't that count?
So, I guess, yeah, so here's what's weird to me. If I don't understand how it's not illegal after the point at which pregnancy couldn't be legally terminated. Because there is a point at which you can no longer get a legal abortion. Because that is the point at which it's recognized as a baby.
Yeah.
So, like, if you're serving someone, say, in the 3rd trimester, how is that not how is what they're doing not illegal there?
I don't know.
Because at that point, the law does recognize that life as a human life.
But it's illegal for me to let somebody who is intoxicated get into a car and drive away.
Yeah, do you see what I'm saying? And I would be interested in, you know, within logical and emotional reason of not being an asshole and going nuts, other people's opinion on that. Because to me, that seems backwards. So it's like, even if we say, yeah, it's not one until this point, well, at that point, you can no longer legally terminate that pregnancy, which we're not debating abortion rights here. I'm just saying, like, at that point, I don't understand why, if you can't do that, why that, like, drinking is allowed. It just doesn't make any... I'm confused about it.
Because if you're willing to make the argument, like, oh, well, that's the mother's choice, well, isn't it the intoxicated person's choice to get in a car and go have a car accident? Like, that's not my fault. They're the ones who made that choice.
Yeah, but you could be held, like, criminally liable for...
Yeah, for criminal negligence because I served them alcohol.
Yeah, to me, that's very backwards, too. Is there no way out of this once you get in it?
I guess not.
So even if you go back to where you were, you can't get out?
Yeah, you get screwed.
That's
that
interesting.
sucks.
Well, I needed to revive somewhere anyway that was an actual landmark so I could go to the next mission, so this actually kind of helped me.
Oh, good.
Because we need to go to... There's one here, which is Reboot. What's this one? Talk to who? Mew? I think that might be the ship.